Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
To this year's most valuable player, Lamar Jackson.
In 2016, Michael Vick posted one sentence about a college kid most NFL fans had never seen play. Lamar Jackson, he said, was 5 times better than he ever was at Virginia Tech. Coming from the most electric quarterback in NFL history, that should have stopped the league cold. Instead, everyone laughed. 9 years later, Lamar Jackson owns Vick's most untouchable record.
Lamar keeps, he's got the record.
And 2 MVP trophies. And the only thing standing between him and a third one is his own body breaking down. This isn't a story about a quarterback who got lucky. This is a story about a man who saw the future before anyone else was willing to look at it. Go back to 2016. Lamar Jackson is a sophomore at Louisville. He's putting up numbers nobody had ever seen from a college quarterback. 3,500 yards passing, 1,500 yards rushing. He wins the Heisman Trophy at 19 years old, the youngest winner in the history of the award.
The winner is Lamar Jackson of University of Louisville.
And the response from the NFL world was insulting. Draft analysts started saying he should switch positions, that he was too small, too inaccurate, that his arm was a problem, that he'd be better off as a wide receiver. A Heisman-winning quarterback and grown men on television were telling him to go run routes.
Running that football, you ain't a running back. You are electrifying, you might win games and all that stuff, but when we talk about a quarterback, in terms of you being the best quarterback in football, that answer is hell no.
His own mother had to release a public statement before the draft, a statement saying her son was a quarterback, that he would only work out as a quarterback. Imagine that. Imagine being the best player in college football and having your mother defend your right to play your own position. Michael Vick watched all of this from the outside, and Vick knew something the analysts didn't. Vick had lived this exact movie before. In 2001, he was the first overall pick in the draft, the most electric athlete the league had ever seen at quarterback. And for years, he heard the same thing. Too small, too inaccurate, won't translate. The whole league treated his style like a gimmick. So when Vick looked at Lamar Jackson, he didn't just see a project, he saw himself. Only better. He told the Louisville Courier-Journal the most honest sentence anyone said about Jackson during that whole draft cycle. If he had ever seen another player who looked like him, it was Lamar Jackson. He picked up the phone and called Marty Mornhinweg in Baltimore directly. He told him, "You have to get this kid." He went on national television and said the team that drafts Lamar has to be willing to change everything. Change the playbook, change the philosophy, change the way they think about the position. If you're not willing to do that, don't draft him at all. Nobody listened. Draft night arrives, quarterback after quarterback comes off the board. Baker Mayfield goes first overall, then Sam Darnold, then Josh Allen, then Josh Rosen. Lamar Jackson sits in the green room and watches 4 quarterbacks get picked before him. The Heisman winner, the most exciting player in college football, falling. He doesn't get picked in the top 10, doesn't get picked in the top 20, doesn't get picked in the top 30.
Well, let me just say, when I was studying him, I thought he was a day 2 guy.
Okay.
I'm not surprised that he hasn't been taken off the board just yet, but I think a couple things hurt him, to be honest with you. He didn't time in the 40 at the combine. He didn't time in the 40 on his pro day.
With the very last pick of the first round, the 32nd selection, John Harbaugh trades back into the round and takes him. The cameras catch Lamar's face. He doesn't smile. He just nods, like he expected it. Like he had been preparing for the disrespect his whole life.
The Philadelphia Eagles have traded the 32nd pick to the Baltimore Ravens. With the 32nd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
Think about what just happened. 4 quarterbacks, all of them with worse college tape, got picked ahead of him. Josh Allen was a project from Wyoming who had completed 56% of his passes in college. He went 7th. Josh Rosen was already getting questioned about his attitude. He went 10th. Lamar Jackson, the Heisman winner, the most productive quarterback in college football, fell because the league couldn't process what he was. They didn't have a box for him, so they just refused to put him anywhere. Vick was watching that night too, and he'd already told everyone Baltimore was the right spot because Baltimore had Greg Roman. And Greg Roman was a coach who had actually understood how to build an offense around a running quarterback. Vick had been screaming about it for months. He kept saying it on television. The team that gets him has to commit to him, has to build the whole thing around him. And Baltimore was one of the only places in the league that was willing to do it. The first season, Lamar barely plays. He sits behind Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl MVP, the franchise quarterback. Then Flacco goes down with an injury in November. Harbaugh hands the keys to the rookie. 26 rushing attempts in his first start, the most by any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. Vick's phone starts ringing. Reporters want him to comment. And here's where Vick proves he sees the game differently than everyone else. He doesn't celebrate, he warns him. Proceed with caution. 10 or 12 runs a game maximum. Quarterbacks aren't built to take hits like running backs. The body keeps account even if you don't feel it yet. Lamar wins 6 of his first 7 starts, drags the Ravens into the playoffs, and then they get exposed by the Chargers, who put 7 defensive backs on the field and dared him to throw. He couldn't. The whole league thought they had figured him out in one playoff game. The next offseason, Lamar disappeared. He went to a high school field in Florida with a jugs machine. He threw thousands of balls. He cut the bad weight, studied film like he was preparing for a final exam, and in 2019 he came back as a completely different player. 6 touchdown passes against the Dolphins in Week 1. He looked like a man playing a different sport.
Jackson, they need 11 yards. He's going for much more than that.
By October, he had the league terrified. Beats the Patriots in November on national television in Foxborough in front of Bill Belichick, and the announcers spent the whole broadcast trying to find words for what they were seeing.
He keeps it. To the end zone, touchdown.
Beats the Rams, beats the 49ers. By December, he's running away with the MVP, unanimous. The second player in NFL history to win it unanimously after Tom Brady.
So congratulations to this year's most valuable player, Lamar Jackson.
He throws 36 touchdown passes against 6 interceptions. He runs for 1,206 yards. That run was the loudest part because Vick's single-season rushing record, the one that stood for 13 years, was 1,039 yards, and a 22-year-old kid had blown past it like it wasn't even there. Vick didn't sulk. He went on Fox and said it out loud. This is a new era. Lamar Jackson is bringing a new era of football. But the warning Vick had given a year earlier was still hanging in the air. Proceed with caution. The 2020 playoffs came and went. Lost in the divisional round. 2021, lost in the wild card. 2022, lost in the wild card. Every year, the same story. Lamar plays at an MVP level for 16 games, and then his body gives out at the worst possible moment. Knee, ankle, hamstring, the hits add up. In 2024, he wins his second MVP. He breaks Vick's all-time career rushing record on Christmas Day, of all days, against the Texans.
Lamar keeps. He's got the record.
6,110 yards, one more than Vick had in his entire career, and he did it in 41 fewer games. Vick congratulated him publicly that night, and he said something nobody picked up on. He said Lamar is now a better passer than he is a runner. That was the whole point. That was always the whole point. Vick had been saying since 2017 that Lamar's ceiling wasn't his legs. His ceiling was what would happen when his arm caught up to his legs. It caught up, and the league still couldn't stop him. But the warning is the part that won't go away, because right now in this season, the body's finally cracking. Hamstring in week 4, 3 games missed, then a knee, then an ankle, then a toe. 6 different injury designations in one season for a player who used to be made of rubber. And then on Sunday Night Football against the Patriots, a defender comes down on his lower back as he's giving himself up at the end of a scramble. A scramble, not a designed run, not a hit he chose to take, just a routine play that ended with him on the ground in pain he couldn't talk through. Lamar can barely walk off the field. His own backup said he could barely move on the sideline. The MRI came back the next day. Deep tissue contusion, the kind of injury where the muscles around it just lock up and refuse to work. The Ravens lose. They fall to 7-8. The whole season hanging by a thread. And the 2-time MVP is sitting in front of his locker telling reporters it's BS because he knows. He knows what Vick was trying to tell him 7 years ago. He gave himself up. He did the smart thing, and it didn't matter. The body keeps account. Tyler Huntley starts the next game in Green Bay. The Ravens still need to win out and get help just to sneak into the playoffs. The same franchise that built itself around Lamar Jackson is now praying a backup can drag them across the line. And somewhere, Michael Vick is watching the same thing he watched himself go through 20 years ago. The brilliance, the records, the MVPs, and the cost. Vick's career got derailed by a federal prison sentence. Lamar's career is getting chipped away one hit at a time. Different roads, same destination. Here's what makes Vick right in a way nobody wants to admit, though. He didn't just predict that Lamar would be great. Anyone who watched the Heisman tape could have done that. What Vick predicted was the entire arc. The slide on draft night, the team that would have to build around him, the transformation from runner to passer, the records, the MVPs, and the price his body would eventually pay for all of it. He called every single beat of this story, in public, on the record, for anyone who was listening. And the league spent the first 2 years of Lamar's career arguing about whether he should even play quarterback. Lamar Jackson isn't done. He's 28. There's still time for the Super Bowl. There's still time for a third MVP. There's still time to write the ending Vick never got to write for himself. But every snap from here on out is borrowed time, and the only person who saw that coming was the guy who lived it first. Michael Vick was right about all of it, and nobody listened until it was already happening in front of them.